Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. Recently, I uploaded a video titled RimWorld, but I have an army. Basically, what it was like to play with a small army throughout RimWorld. A modded army just fighting off some raids and shit like that. You guys really seem to like that, so I've been persuaded to kind of continue doing that. However, with that being said, there was one comment that stood out. Well, not just one, there were several, but all about the same thing. Everyone wants to see V.O.I.D. Now, me personally, I read that comment and I said, this is interesting. What the hell is V.O.I.D? So, I have added the V.O.I.D faction and we are going to find out. Now, in preparation for this almighty V.O.I.D faction everyone's obsessed with, I have taken the liberty of upgrading Lions 2.0 into Lions 3.0. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, this took a while to do, so this V.O.I.D faction better be pretty damn impressive. I'm going to just go ahead and say that I highly doubt they're going to be able to take on 50 of Lions 3.0, but I guess we'll see. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, I want to show off what we're working with here. So Lions 3.0 has a smorgasbord of acrotech, however you pronounce it, body parts and some bionic body parts like a pain stopper and joy wire. He has a 7 in all skills. Oh, yeah, I know, it's pretty crazy. I hear what you're saying, pretty crazy. He also has some interesting Clone Wars set armor and blaster weaponry that I didn't show off here for God knows what reason. Now, before we get to V.O.I.D, though, I spawned in a massive mechanoid raid just so we can kind of get a feel for how powerful Lions 3.0 truly is. And as I'm sure you can see, Lions 3.0, all 50 of them easily handle some inbred robot mechanoid dog shit eating robots, per se, which is easily one of the strongest factions of vanilla RimWorld. But we ain't talking about vanilla RimWorld. You're not here to see these mechanoids, you are here to see V.O.I.D and cream your little pants while you watch V.O.I.D come out and try to kill me. So let's get into that. Now, based on the comments, I was extremely cautious to begin with, and I decided to do a raid of 20 points just to kind of get a feel for V.O.I.D. The guy hatched out of his little sky egg, and we killed him. Extremely easily, I might add, so I was shocked. To my surprise, one person was not a literal god among men. So with that being said, I realized I was being way too cautious and a tad bit stupid, so let's do a 100-point raid. Surely this one singular person should be much strong. Oh no. No, they easily died as well. Very well then, we're going to have to make that massive leap from 100 all the way to 10,000, which is the largest raid that we can spawn, of course. Now this time around, it was actually much more interesting. There were these giant octopus lady creatures. This is really cool. They didn't manage to kill any of our Lions 3.0 though, and Lions 3.0 easily decimated them once again, unfortunately. Now granted, I don't really think it's their fault. They didn't really have time to fight with us before Lions 3.0 shot them all to death. They didn't really notice that we were there. Now of course, with that being said though, we're just going to have to continue adding on to the pile of enemy raiders until eventually Lions 3.0 dies. At least one of them have to die. So I made the executive decision to spawn in 2 10,000 point raids, accumulating of course in 20,000 points. It was much more interesting this time around when they all just popped out of their drop pods. Some of them actually, I think, started firing at us. A lot of them were melee, but these massive creatures just started dogpiling on top of our soldiers, and we did end up losing one soldier. But I'm starting to think that Lions 3.0, at least 50 of them, could easily beat the shit out of any raid created by V.O.I.D. I'm sure there's so many of you extremely pissed that I just said that. I'm totally joking. Obviously, we're here to set out to prove me wrong and just see, like the numbers game, how many it'll take, okay? Everybody settle down. Not only settle down, but fasten your friggin' seatbelts, people, because I have spawned in 5 10,000 point raids, accumulating in 50,000 points. Here we go. Now this time around, the shit really hit the fan, pardon my French, because most of them landed on top of us, and we were engaged in melee combat, and Lions 3.0 had no melee weapons. And on top of that, a lot of them were just absolutely firing at us and non-stop, and when you get shot at a few times non-stop, it seems to cause these holes to appear in your body. Basically, many of our soldiers ended up dying to their massive octopusy creatures and their bullets. And finally, with a 50,000 point size raid, we see the true colors of Void. Obviously, this is a massive exaggeration than what we would normally see, but then again, Lions 3.0 is a massive exaggeration than the pawns that you would normally control. But now with all this said and done, I have realized that these massive fleshy creatures that Void uses could be considered weapons of mass destruction. And if you've watched the previous video, you know how we feel about weapons of mass destruction. We will shred these fleshy creatures apart until they're no longer a danger, or until we find some oil inside them. Their leather, blistered, disgusting skin was a lot tougher than it looks, yeah. It took the lasers pretty easily, and then these massive creatures just started surrounding all of our soldiers. You know, this has to be a sad and horrible, scary moment for our soldiers, but it is kind of funny because it almost looks like they're giving birth, or being given birth, if that makes sense. They're coming from the birth canal. And it took absolutely forever for them to actually kill all of our soldiers. This clip that you're currently watching, yes, this one right in front of you, is actually sped up to times 25 speed, just because it took forever. But after a while, those big massive ass monsters finally managed to kill every single one of our soldiers. This was the Void I'd been hearing so much about. Now this seems like the almost deity-like faction that everyone was describing, and I was very impressed. But now that we've upped the ante with our enemies, let's do the same with our soldiers. I present to you Lions 4.0. Now Lions 4.0 here isn't anything too special. There's some added additional armor as well as a secondary gun for this one singular soldier. Our others, of course, will just have the one gun, but the most notable addition, of course, is the fact that we have upped the shooting, melee skills, all other skills to a 10 instead of a 7. Oh, and also the fact that I gave the gun an ungodly amount of range, so our soldiers can actually hit them from, like, across the map. You say it's OP, and I say, yeah, you're probably right. Oh, also, and I made the lasers red, which I thought was a very pretty color. But damn it, the lasers can be as pretty of a color as it wants if it cannot stop these monstrous hordes of the infected, undead flesh beasts of the Void faction mod. What use would it be to us? This was a true test of just how wonderful the rifle would be. And I must say, we actually handled ourselves very well during this fight. However, with that being said, even though we're doing really well against them in the battle, we are only doing this well because I cheated and gave the guns a really good range. If we stuck with the normal range, to be honest, they would probably, I don't know if I would say they would slaughter us, but they would definitely do a lot better in the battle, as we wouldn't actually start firing at them until they got a lot closer. And these infected, especially the freaky upside down head ones with like 8 legs, are very fast, so they would already be on us by the time we started shooting at them. But I wanted to switch it up a little bit. You know, armies have a lot of soldiers, but they also normally have a nuclear arsenal. So I'm going to attempt to fire a few nuclear bombs at them to see how well that does, and see how effective it is at stopping them. So you already know what time it is. To cleanse the undead horde, we must use weapons of mass destruction. Oh, those sweet nuclear bombs. I can smell the plutonium in the air. Oh, uranium. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Anyhow, though, we're going to go ahead and bomb the absolute shit out of every single fleshy beast that we see. And it seems to have worked fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and give nuclear bombs a good solid 8.5 out of 10 for destroying these things. However, there was still one thing left to do. What if you had, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 massive raids of these big beasts, and the only thing at your disposal was some grenades and you had a huge stack of nukes? But one singular person. Obviously, one soldier's not going to be able to defeat all of these creatures, so I guess there would be only one thing left for you to do. That's right, our good friend Lions 4.0 is going to turn himself and these fleshy beasts into particles. Well, that was awful dramatic, wouldn't you say? Thanks for watching the video though, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. I've had a lot of fun with this. The V.O.I.D faction is actually really cool. I think there's a bunch of other mods that include V.O.I.D and stuff like that, and thank you guys for helping me discover it though. I would definitely look into it some more. It might be some type of mod, you know, or mods that we use in upcoming series or other videos, which is really cool. Up until this point, I'd never even heard of V.O.I.D, so it's... yeah, I can't believe that really, because it seems to be a really popular mod and faction and yada yada. So, you know, it's awesome though. But of course, if you guys have any ideas for any armies or anything you'd like to see, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I think next time we're going to try to maybe do a medieval army. That's currently what I have cooking in my head. But once again, thank you guys ever so much for watching. I love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.